It is the day after gutted, and I am glad for it to be over. Also a little sad for it to be over. It's been very intense, but I have learned a lot. You will have to wait for the results until March of 2023. In the meantime, just know that everyone who participated did a great job and are very proud of the results. I'm sure you might have seen glimpses of the process. Sorry you have to wait for the final results. I am also so thankful for those of you who showed up to support me and encourage me from the sidelines. I hope I got to say hi to you. If I didn't, so sorry I missed you. You should have just grabbed me away and given me a hug or something. But I did see several of you and was able to chat a while, and so glad to get to know you. I am also really grateful for Bunny and Riley for creating space for me afterwards when I needed to rest and taking care of my live. I was really worried about getting a video out last week, and with them helping with that, it made me just feel calm and to be able to concentrate on what I had to do. Now I'm going to finally get to the questions that you all ask, because I'm staying around the campground. It's called Camp Ranch Campground in Smithville, Missouri. It is a really nice campground spread out all over around this beautiful lake. I just came to a quiet place so I could rest and recuperate. I love the fall, so I want to try to stay in the Midwest as long as possible. I might be in Arkansas in November and Texas in December, but we'll see how that all pans out. I had asked my Patreons a while back if they would give me some questions that they had on their minds about anything, really. And then I picked some from YouTube that either are repeat questions that I thought, well, maybe I should just answer globally and get to some of those. I have also been enjoying being in my new setup. It's been very convenient to have this little bed because I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. And so to have the little bed just store right up and get right down at night was very convenient, so I'm loving that. I have not been in one place long enough to get my bed out where I can feel like I can sleep in and have just a quiet, peaceful morning and slow morning making my coffee, but I'll have plenty of time to do that now. Stephanie from Patreon asked me what I use to hold things down. I'm still using what I've always used, which are the gel pads. And I will try to show a clip of that. You can cut them, and then they have sticky backs on both sides. So you put one side on the object that you're trying to hold in place, and then you take off the gel pad where you want to stick it, and that doesn't move. Sometimes if you move it a lot or reposition things, it might lose its stickiness. But if you are sure and you put it down, that stuff never moves. If you do take it off and put it down again, then it begins to collect dust, and sometimes it loses its stickiness, and then you just put another one on. It doesn't ruin whatever you place it on in any way. It doesn't make it feel icky or sticky. So those gel pads are the thing that I use. These are not gel padded on because it pretty much sticks in place, but these are. So this and this have gel pads underneath so they don't move. This doesn't. I used to have a gel pad on this, but now all I've used is this heavy duty magnet. And these again, I just got on Amazon, and it sticks to this. And then it sticks to that. It can tug it and it's free, but if I don't, it won't move. Like, did you see how it just slid into place because of the magnetism there? So it stays in place really well. So I hope that answers your question, Stephanie. Then Margie asked how I drill holes in the van. And I think you're saying, like, what do I use? Because when you're drilling into metal, especially, you need to get the self-tapping, or I don't know, there's another name for them too, but basically they're made to drill through metal. I do that very sparingly because I don't want to put extraneous holes in my van where I don't have to. There are holes that are in the Connect already. Anytime you see one of these little plastic things, that is a hole like that. So I hope that answers your question, Margie. And Mary Beth, you also had that question about drilling screws. I also try to just drill in the parts that have 2 layers. So there's an inner layer and an outer layer of metal, so they don't go through. If you're just doing it in the thin layer, not so good of an idea. A lot of people, when they're building out their vans, will put a false wall by attaching plywood, 2x4s to make a frame, and then plywood, and then that makes it really easy to do. I haven't done that anywhere, so I have to be really careful with what I choose to do and how I choose to do it. Anytime I can, I try to use the factory holes so that it's secure in place. Irene Partridge, you ask about what kind of toilet I am using. If you have seen my toilet videos, I've got several of them now. The one that I did when I was at Gutted last year has many options that people use, and that might give you a fuller idea of the types of things that are available. And it depends on the space that you have available for a toilet, what you're gonna do. I just use here it is, I'm sitting on it right now. I use a pea jug, and that is just one of these that is painted. I would, for women, a wide-mouthed jar that twists is a good thing to have because you don't want it to not twist and spill. I also kind of use it as a gray tank when I can't have the water that I collect in my little spittoon. I use my own toothpaste, which is organic stuff, so I don't feel bad about just pitching that. If I'm in an area where I cannot do that or I don't feel comfortable doing that, like I'm in a parking lot or something, I don't do that in a parking lot, I will collect it in here. So this is like my little gray tank that any runoff or things that I am not comfortable just spilling onto the ground, I can keep in here until I am at a place where I can dispose of it correctly, like in a toilet at a rest stop or a waste disposal thing. But I don't usually have a lot of that kind of stuff. Because I don't use water, I use this. The biodegradable stuff goes into a biodegradable bag that I'll collect and then just throw that in the trash or in a compost bin. For number 2, y'all know this whole system, and it is basically like people wonder how I do this. I don't sit on this. Anatomically, when you are squatting, it's the best position to do number 2, and there's like hardly any mess or anything. I learned this when I was in Bolivia too. Most of the pit latrines, lots of other countries do this actually, where you put your feet on 2 slats that are on either side of a hole, a pit hole, and then you do your business squatting down. And that's like a much easier and cleaner solution because, yeah, if you just kind of think about it, you'll understand why. But yeah, then it's like with a doggy bag or anything like that, I'll tie it up. So this is the one that collects the other biodegradable bags that I use inside of it. And those, again, I will dispose of in a dumpster at campsites or at BLM land. They usually have a dumpster for that type of stuff, and just do it that way. And then obviously, like when I am in an area that has a toilet or that is an option, you're gonna use it because it's just easier. You don't have to deal with anything. And the funny thing is, I talk about it with people a lot. I mean, you guys ask about it a lot too, but I would much rather do that than have to carry around a 5-gallon bucket of poop. I mean, even though it would last longer, you'd have to deal with it less. You still have to deal with it. And I'd rather deal with this much of it than this much of it. So I just kind of let that be what I have to deal with rather than big things. And it's easy to clean because I have the bag, and that way I don't have to clean out a receptacle and try to deal with that. It's just easy, tie off, dispose. And I use the horse pellets. Those horse pellets breaks things down well, keeps the smell down until I can dispose of it. And you would use that in a composting toilet anyway, some type of biological matter that would help that compost. I don't want to be housing that in my space. And so I'll deal with it for a little bit, I'll have a little bit maybe. And if I'm boondocking, I obviously have to have a container for the accumulation of that if I'm not able to dispose of it right away. But you do have to find the solution that feels most right and most comfortable for you. And there are so many options. Just keep looking. If this doesn't work for you. I say it's like very simple and it works for me really well. But I know that that is strange for some people, and just keep looking. I do have those videos that talk about it and can give you some ideas. So Blue Wonder Lady, Ishana, you ask what events are coming up in the southern states, because you're going to be taking a trip from Florida across the southern states out west. I know that there is one called Lollapalooza. Lost on Land Adventure is Lola, and she does a meetup. For me, the way I get to know what events are taking place is by watching other channels, and if they say they have something, I'll see announcements for meetups pop up on my feed, and then I'll go and check them out. I'm going to be attending less events this year, more just trying to find some boondocking areas and maybe meeting up with a few friends, or I might have a meetup myself. I am a little evented out, but it's been great, and that's how I've met so many people, and I think that you'll find that as well. There are certain people that when you attend a really good event where you meet people who you feel like they're your tribe, then you don't really need to do events all the time, because unless you all want to attend one together and have fun and experience that event together. But you'll realize that you as a group will just want to hang and have some time together. So events become less important than just meeting up and being together, if that makes sense. So I am doing less of that. More for me this year, even though the year's almost over, I've been concentrating on attending some seminars and conferences for myself and things that I've always wanted to learn about. It's not something that I'm going to share on YouTube because it has nothing to do with van life, but they're more personal to me and things that I have either just otherwise not had the time or had not wanted to stay where they stayed. So now I can stay wherever in my van, but then attend the conference during the day or the seminars or retreat. And that makes it a lot of more fun for me. But that's why I'm not really up on events. So I am sorry, Ishana, but yeah, you can DM me too and see if I'm going to be in the area. Patty, you ask actually about ideas for those on a healing journey and where to go to boondock for things like that. Again, I think that's more of a personal choice answer. I look for areas that feel calm to me, and I tend to like certain areas in the desert in the Southwest that I go to, but I have also found that there are places in the Midwest and up Northwest that I love with the trees, and just that fills me a lot. So it really is a matter of just thinking what part of nature feels relaxing and enjoyable to you to help you just spend a few days and fill your soul. I have a few favorites, and I'm not gonna say what they are because I want to enjoy them selfishly, and there are so many spots like that. So go to an area that you love or that you think you'll love, and then just look on Campendium, or there are maps that you can find in the local campgrounds or in the state park offices or the national forest offices. So you can find a whole bunch on where the good BLM land is, and I would encourage you to do that. And Wandering Meemaw, I did meet you, and I am so glad we got the chance to talk. It was amazing for me. She has a little Transit Connect too, and I tried to get around to the Transit Connect. Some of you, sorry you left before I could do it, but I'm sure I'll see you again. And I'm thinking maybe I should have a little Transit Connect meetup. I talked about that with Wandering Meemaw, so maybe that would be something that would be fun to do, have all the little connects connect. But you asked if I did a video on how I painted the inside of the van. And I did not, because again, that was when I was first building and I didn't even think I would have a YouTube channel. But all you have to do is go, I literally, this is what I did. I went into Home Depot and I said, I'm painting the inside of my van. What would you suggest? And he literally picked up a can of the Rust-Oleum spray paint that was the exact, he says, a lot of vans are painted this color on the inside. Here. And he gave it to me, and it's Rust-Oleum. I think it's like slate gray. I didn't even do anything to prep it. I should have maybe sanded it a little bit to make it adhere a little better. So that would be a good thing to prep for. I then taped, and I do have a little blurb of that on one of my build tapes, but I'll maybe try to find it again and show it here. I taped all around just with paint tape and plastic where I didn't want to paint. And then I opened all the doors on a non-windy day and just started spraying. And it's worked amazingly well. And every so often it gets a little scratch, but then I just spray it up and it covers it. So it worked for me. It was a simple fix for me. Calmed down the inside because I didn't think I could handle the red all the time on the inside. I needed a more chill environment, so I liked the calm gray, and it matched with this. It's like a grayish, I guess they call it, because it's not beige or it's not gray, it's just in between. So Renee, you ask about being lonely. Like, what do I do? I've been on the road for long periods of time and parked in so many places coming and going. Do you ever feel homeless? Do you ever feel like you're just wandering all the time? I really honestly have to say I am rarely lonely. And that goes back to what I've discovered in this lifestyle for myself, is that I really do enjoy, and it sounds so weird, but I enjoy my own company more than I ever have, of just being with myself in a beautiful place. I never thought that I would be able to say those words. I really don't get lonely. I don't feel the need to fill the void that I used to have in my life with people and things and stuff like that. I love people. I love when I am able to be with them. So that also fills me up very much. I do tend to miss my family sometimes, but I can be with them for as long as I want. So all of that to me has made me see that I really can enjoy the time that I have. I try to be very present with people when I am with them. And then I try to be equally present when I am alone, and just I'm not afraid of what's going on inside of my heart and my head because I am at peace. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all. And I know that that's not the case for everybody. I just am at a season in my life where that is the case. And if you aren't, or if you are struggling with anything, I do believe that there are ways to get help. If you have any suggestions, please let them know. Jen, you ask, what is the hydrogen peroxide solution that I use? And you get the 3% hydrogen peroxide solution in the store. I get the little one so that I don't have any extra and I don't have to carry it around. Oops, hello, bee, get out, go. He's like, I like the hydrogen peroxide, but I just fill it with about 1-to-1 solution of water and hydrogen peroxide. And sometimes I put even a little bit more hydrogen peroxide. I did have a comment once that somebody said the half-life of hydrogen peroxide would make it turn into water pretty quickly. And it's true. I go through this pretty quickly too. And I have it in a green bottle. There are brown bottles like this too. But that helps to save it from turning too quickly into just water because it's mixing with oxygen. It's a very light solution of hydrogen peroxide, and I go through it pretty rapidly because this is what I use, so it's still powerful enough for the cleaning that I do and works very well. Rex rules van life. Sorry I didn't get to meet you when I was in Oregon. I wanted to meet you, girl. She says, will you go back to traveling abroad now that COVID isn't as much of an issue? And if so, where do you want to go first? My work took me internationally quite a bit. I love traveling, but right now I'm really concentrating on staying put in the United States and maybe Canada, Mexico, things that I can get to driving. I, again, still want to try to get to Alaska at some point, so Canada is on the works, and I just am not sure when I will get to that, but there's so much to do right where we are. Actually, right in my own home state, I could probably find things to do to keep me busy for 100 lifetimes. So it's just not even a matter of whether I want to or not. It's a matter of just I am enjoying doing this too much to know if I would ever really go somewhere abroad again. Yeah, that's a good question though. Roaming Ruka, you say you have a silly question. No question is silly. You wanted to ask about how I take my coffee. And I love very strong coffee. And if it is good coffee, I do try to do organic as much as possible. Somehow thinking that that is cleaner and better for me. I don't know. There's so much controversy too on coffee these days. I love it, so I'm gonna keep drinking it. If it's really good coffee, I just drink it black and it's good and I love it. Sometimes I'll sweeten it with a bit of raw sugar or honey. I do add creamer sometimes as well. So it just depends what I've got on hand. I really can take it however you give it to me. I love coffee. The only way I do not like coffee is weak. So I'll probably, if it's weak, I'll drink it and go. So no weak coffee. No. Trudy, you ask, what is the best resource for finding meetups? Again, it's really hard to know where to start with that, but it's really just a matter of talking to others that you meet and saying, hey, are you going to any fun events? Where is it at? And then looking it up, and usually there's information online about those types of things. And I'm sorry I can't be more helpful, but that's really how I did it. So some YouTube things. Cassie Kaufman said she would like to see how I secure the bed for travel. I will show you that right now. I have secured this hook to the bottom piece, which is stable. So this bottom piece is attached to the floor. And then this has a hook, and that other end of it is secured to the upper one that slides. And I had this on both sides. So this piece cannot move forward. I can't even push it forward when I'm going down the road. So that is how I secure it when it is not in use, and when I don't pull it out, it is hooked together right like that on both sides, over there and over here. Vicky Fisher, you say you want to see what I come up with the back door? So this is what I've done to the back. I have taken just some wood slats and secured them together. This is an IKEA rod that I was able to secure to this piece of metal, right? So I knew that I wouldn't go through to this side because there's a space in between here. So these metal brackets are secured on both sides here. This is where this got away from me a little bit there. But so this is secured in place. And then this is also from IKEA. It has little pockets that I have my knife in. I have a wine opener, some chopsticks, my Javi straws and things like that in this little space right here. And because this is just balsa wood, so I cannot screw anything into this because it is on this side that doesn't have a space in between here. As you see, that's on the inner side of that. So I do not want to use screws there. So what I did to solve that problem is I used this that is secured very strongly. I just drilled holes in here and put them in here, and this side is glued to the back. So if it weren't glued to the back here, it might flip because of just being secured on this rod. So there is a screw right there in the bottom here and over here that comes down through to here. You can see where it's secured. There and there. And so that amazingly keeps it in place. I wouldn't put really heavy things on that, but for what I'm using it for, it works. This is a new frother that I got, some vitamins. I've done the exact same thing on this side. I just happen to have an extra one of these. If I had it to do again, I would probably just use a flat piece of plywood along there and secure it here. Like you can see, here's the wood glue. I'll have to try to get that off, but that's the wood glue that I use to secure it to the back, and then it's just screwed down that way. And so this, I put my other little work table here. So this is secured to the door, and then this is secured to this piece of wood. And this is where this bench also is used as a table. So these are the screws for that. And you can see that video somewhere where I do my table that goes across here so I can cook outdoors. And then it also double serves as a little bumper bench back here. So I hope that answers your question about what I did back here. And then how everything is secured is through these L brackets. There's some here, and there's also some inside all throughout the back here, screwed onto the wheel well and onto this. So this is secured down that way. And just for extra security, I put bungees. The van itself comes with these D-hooks that I have secured with bungee cords around the leg of my bed. That's just added security. Otherwise, you can see where I have attached the bed to the wheel well on this side of the van, on both sides. So I have two on both sides of that. On this side, I couldn't do the same thing because it doesn't go to the wall, but I have the L brackets to secure the leg very well to the platform. And then I've got it screwed down here with long screws to the bottom of the van and the leg. And then again, that's attached as well. I still might do something to the cutouts underneath where there's just plywood and where I put some sound deadening on, but I haven't gotten around to that, so I just put what I had back on there until I get around to that. Jolene Carpenter, you said that I should put magnets on these sliding doors, and I did. I put a magnet in back here because the back door was the one that was sliding. The one in front really doesn't because it's already closed that way. So thank you for that idea, and I used it, and it makes it stay in place very well. I am going to go enjoy this beautiful spot. But thanks for joining me. I hope you got some of your questions answered. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.